Welcome viewers, this is Chris and you are watching me at your own YouTube channel ThinkEduEra, our Facebook page at the rate ThinkEduEra Learning, or LinkedIn, or even on Instagram. So I welcome you all to the next chapter. In the previous chapter we were discussing about the management and management theories, and we will continue with that further today. So I welcome you all once again and let's begin. As usual, we are at our channel homepage. You can visit our channel homepage and you can get a sense or a view about our vision, mission, and goal statement here. And as usual, we are watching the skill framework, which is my personal favorite, and we revolve all our learnings at ThinkEduEra around this skill framework. So, viewers, as in the last chapter or the last session in the management and management theories, we had covered the management in a broader, and then we had started talking about the management theories, and we had specifically had covered the behavioral theories there, like the Hawthorne theories and the uh, Maslow hierarchy of need theory. So we will continue with that, discussing the others remaining theories today, and I would try that we conclude this chapter today, so that at the end of this chapter or at the end of this session, all of my viewers are able to better understand the management and management concepts and various theories related to it, and they can utilize in every part of life, which is our mission. Okay, viewers. So I will just give you this overview that we had discussed this in the last session, and I would like to thank you all the viewers because they really appreciated this video very well. We got a very good response, a very good watch time on this video. If you haven't watched this video on management and management theories, the chapter 0 and chapter 1, which is the first video in this series, which was the first video in this series, I can give you the link in the I button or in the description of this video. You can first go and watch the previous video, and then you can come back and watch this video, viewers. Okay, so we had also discussed about the management post discussing the management concepts, the viewpoint, how do we see the management and the leadership. We had in short discussed about these management theories, which was the transformational theories, and we had especially talked about the Hawthorne and the Maslow hierarchy of needs theory in our last sessions. So we would be covering the rest of these theories, like the classical management theories and the modern management theories today. So I hope that post this session you would be able to entirely get the broader perspective of the management here. So let's move on, viewers, and we will start with the classical management theories today. Okay, so these classical management theories, viewers, are the oldest management theories. In the ancient times, if we look at our industry was such that uh, it is normally focused or was broadly focused on the production activities. So the theories, in the classical management theory, which belongs to the operations and the creation of standards to increase the production. So basically the classical management theories belongs to that era, so that these theories have the impact of those production environment here. That is what I'm trying to say here. So in the classical management theories, we have three primary theories here, which comprise the classical management theories. And here we go with the details of these theories. So very first theory is the scientific management theory. As the name suggests, the F.W. Taylor, who proposed this theory at that time, and this theory is basically applicable to the low level management. If you guys remember that in our last video we already talked about the three levels of the management, which is the low level, mid level, and the top level management. So if we correlate these theories with the management layer or the level, the scientific management theory is basically, specialized to the organizations, uh, specialized to the organization to manage the operations or the engineering work maybe. So that is why it is mostly related to the low level management, where we focus on mostly on the operations and controlling things. And the second theories in this series is called as administrative management theory. And don't worry, we will talk about these theories little um, uh, in detail in next slides. So we are just getting the brief of all these theories. This theory, the administrative management theory, was given by Fayol, who is the father of general management, and this theory is applicable universally. So when I say this theory is applicable universally, it means it can be applicable to any level of management and mostly in every area of the management. And that is of course related to the top level management mostly, because we are talking about the administrative management here. So though, as we discussed in our earlier sessions, that some level of management or some level of administration exist at all level of management. So in that sense I was saying about universally. Okay, let's talk about the third and the last theory, which is the bureaucratic management theory in the classical management theory. And as the name suggests, the bureaucratic management theory was proposed by Weber, and who was the father of bureaucratic management. And this is basically related to the more focused on the organizational structure, and it is more related to the top level management. And the bureaucratic structure, or you say that the kind of process or the distribution of power we normally see in the government sector, and in the large organization, where the organization is subdivided into the different functions, or the department, and then there are different department heads, or the people who are leading those departments. So the management is kind of divided with the management structures, and that is how their power and the bureaucratic power is given to them to manage that structure, like we do similarly in the Indian politics, as I discussed earlier. So these are the three basics: classical management theory, scientific management theory, which is given by Taylor, the administrative management theory, which is proposed by Fayol, and the third and the last one was the bureaucratic management theory, which was proposed and offered by the Weber. So we looked at that this theory is basically related to different aspect and the different level of management and different level of needs. Okay, viewers, let's just go and discuss these theories little details, because we need to understand these theories uh, in more detail to understand the essence of it, so that you can very well apply this knowledge in every part of life, whether it's your personal life, you are into an organization, you are running a business, doesn't matter. So let's look at this, the scientific management theory. In the scientific management theory is basically focused on the minimizing the waste and reducing production time. As I told you that the classical management theories belongs to that era where industry was more focused on production activity rather than the servicing industry or the servicing activity. That's why the theories also belongs to that. So this theory, the scientific management theory, is basically related to minimizing the waste, because there is a lot of waste which happens in the production industry at that time I'm talking about. So this theory was basically focusing on that how we can minimize the waste and can reduce the production times, how we can produce more in lesser time. That is what it's mean. Okay, So the Taylor basically who proposed this theory created or built a kind of four scientific management principles. Those are as follows. So what he started, he said that use science, not rules of thumb. What does it mean? He says that gather the objective data on work, experiment, and standardize policy and procedure. So he is talking about that we need to have a policies, procedures, standard operating procedures, and we should have a scientific way of doing things rather than just following any traditional way. We should be scientifically design our process and policies and the processes, so that whatever we are doing and following the proper standard to do all of these things. Then the second principle given by Taylor is, he says that scientifically train employee. What does it mean? He says that there should be a very very designed process. How do we select the talent or the people? And there should be a proper training mechanism, or so that those employees become more productive, more efficient, and that is how we need to develop our workforce. Okay, the third principle which is given by the Weber here in this scientific management theory is ensure most of the efficient ways of working are used. What does it mean? He is saying that we need to uh, work in collaboration with the workers, and we should have the efficient way of working. So our processes, our policies, our way of working should be like that. They are efficient, they can use the resources optimally, so that we can reduce the waste and we can increase the production in the lesser time. Then he says that divide the work between managers and workers. It says that we should work collaboratively with workers, and we should divide the work properly with the responsibility and accountability. He says that fairly divide the work and responsibility and reward workers appropriately, as it is mentioned at the last point here, that pay based on result. What does it mean? It is saying that our pay or reward or recognition should be based on the results or the outcome, and not just following the process. So who is a good performer should be rewarded more, should be recognized more. So that is how the scientific management theory was built. That is basically say that we should have a scientific way of doing things. We should have procedures, policies, and processes to follow, and we should do the scientific way. We should hire or select the talent in a scientific way. We should have train them. We should develop them. We should ensure that we divide the work and the responsibility. We delegate the work, and then we track it, and we divide the responsibility between manager and workers, and then we should measure the outcome, and we should reward and recognize the good performers. So that is how the scientific management theories concludes. Let's move on, viewers. Then the second theory in this, which we talked about, the administrative management theory. As the name suggests, the management theory was developed by Henry Fayol, as we just discussed, who was considered the founder of the management theories, and he gave this. He was a French engineer, and called as a father of the modern management. So what he told him in his administrative management theory. So the Fayol build a model that every organization have various departments, and it is basically he is talking about a broader organization which have different departments and all, like in this one it is say that we have a financial department, we have a technical, commercial, accounting, and all of that, and then there is a managerial level for each of the department to coordinate and conduct the activities of the leadership. So he also explained these five managerial elements. What are those five managerial elements? He talked about the planning, the organizing, commanding, coordinating, and coordinating. So viewers, as I told you, this all of the the cycle is basically designed from a PDCA model, which is plan, do, check, act. And if you see here is those five elements are also revolving around it. So what is planning? So planning is, he is saying that the Fayol is saying that in an organization, the manager or the managerial position people or the leadership people is basically their responsibility or the work area is revolving around these five managerial element. The first one is the planning. In the planning is basically they sets the objective, they create the broader business plans. Once that is done, then the second steps, the element of the managerial element comes in is the organizing. What we do here is, in the organizing we basically divide the work and define tasks, and we basically assigning the responsibility. So what we are doing is, what the broader business plan we have from planning, then when it comes to organizing, we try to devise those business plans into small tasks, and then we assign people or those responsibilities who would be accountable of doing those tasks. That is what is covering by the organizing. Then the third element came, here is the commanding. When we talk about the commanding, it basically about guiding, about giving instructions and delegating the works, and then guiding the people towards the right direction or to achieve the final outcome. And then the next element comes coordinating. Once those tasks is divided, responsibilities are awarded or assigned, then there are instructions, there are follow-up, there are processes and policies which needs to be followed. And then there has to be, definitely the next element is the coordinating. What happens in the coordinating is, basically we try to harmonize the activities, we try to collaborate, we try to connect the pieces together, the elements together, and we focus on the common goal. Every person or maybe the department who have who have got a defined task to achieve, and the responsibility and the accountability. However, the managerial people basically try to coordinate between all of those tasks, so that then when we put it together, we tied it together, it is basically reaching to the common goal and the objective. That is what the coordinating is, and that is why coordinating is so much importance in the managerial element section. And then there is finally the controlling is basically, whatever the target was set, we measure the performance or the outcome or the final result uh, or the business outcome, as we measure them against the set targets. And then we look at, have we achieved it, overachieved it, or there is a deficit or the gap which we need to bridge. And then probably there is a loop of feedback which goes, and then it is a continuous process to improve further. However, these five elements, administrative theory says that these five elements work together in tandem to achieve the common objective or the goal or the ultimate business plan or the outcome. So the five function of management we already discussed here, or you can say them as a function, you can treat them as an element. However, this covers the entirety of the management function, that how they works in planning, they works in organizing, they works through the commanding, they do coordinate, then they control the activities, and finally this is how this five functions of management works. And this theory of administrative management talks about those five management area or five managerial elements. I hope viewers you are clear with these two theories which we just discussed, that the scientific management theory and the current one which we just discussed, the administrative management theory. Now viewer, let's move to the last and the third theory in the classical management, which is the, okay. Okay, before moving to the next theory, in this theory of administrative, and I think this is important to discuss, that Fayol have also given these 14 principles of management. He have given the broadly the five elements of management, or the roles of management. However, he also talked about the 14 principle of management, that the management, whosoever in which role or the area the management is functioning, they need to probably follow those 14 principle of management. Let's just discuss these 14 principles quickly. The first one is the specialization of labor. What does it mean? It talks about the division of work. It says that we should we should be specialized, and we should increase output by making employee more efficient. So it is saying that we should divide the work in such a way that we are assigning the specialized resources to to the specific task or activity or to the business element, so that they work efficiently, and it ultimately contribute to the to achieving the common goal. The second thing, it talks about the authority. What do you mean by the authority? It says that managers must be able to orders. And viewers, you will see little I would say rigid kind of principles here, because these theories are very old theories. However, there are modern way of management. But when we talks about the authority, of course, it is if not orders, definitely the influence is there, right? So, but we are talking if we are talking about the 14 principle which is given by Fayol, he talks about the authority, and authority means he is saying that managers should be able to order, and authorities gives, and this authority is basically give them this right that they can order. Along with authority, however, goes responsibility. So we need to understand this. When a manager is manager have the, or the leader have the authority to order, however, it comes with a lot of responsibility. So managers should understand that as well. And then there is a third principle which is called a discipline. Discipline is basically, they say that there should be a discipline where whenever there is a command or a order, or a guidance, or the management is trying to influence something, trying to make any change, the employees should obey and respect the rules or that govern the organization. So the culture should uh, be like that, that the command is coming from top line, then it is getting followed at every level of the organization. That is what the discipline the principle is talking about. Then there is a unity of command. Unity of command is basically that every employee should receive orders from only one supervisor. And it says that Fayol was in the opinion, he was a kind of single reporting. He was a believer in the single line of reporting, not a matrix kind of reporting. He was of the opinion that one person should receive the commands from one person only. There should be one supervisor and not the multiple. And though this kind of environment or the structures viewers have changed recently, and in the currently mostly we see that the matrix kind of environment, right? The people are associated to different projects. Different project is handled by different people in the organization, or if even in businesses. So it can't be like that, right? So there may be, we are talking to many people, we have many stakeholders, we need to manage all the stakeholders. Some stakeholders are very much powerful, some are in the position that we need to make them aware, and we need to make them satisfied, like that. So we need to do a lot of whole stakeholder management. So probably in the current scenario this is not applicable, but unity of command is basically that he was of the opinion that there should be only one supervisor. But that's not the current uh, uh, environment if I talk about the organizational structure form, which is matrix mostly. Okay, uh, let's talk about the unity of direction. So similarly, it says that the organization should have a single plan or of action to guide managers and workers. So that's why I think this is more related to the, when it talks about the direction, it is basically related to the strategy and the vision and the mission. There should be a broader mission, vision, and then goals, and then these goals should be aligned to those, and the direction should be such that we are trying to achieve that common vision and mission. So basically that talks about the unity of directions. Then there is a subordination of individual interest. What does it mean? It says that subordination of individual interest to the general interest. The interest of any of the employee or group of employee should not take precedence over the interest of the organization as a whole. See, when we work in a matrix organization, each department is given their responsibility. They have their own objectives, their own goals to be achieved. However, they should not forget that ultimately they all are working towards the success of the organizations. So they should work in tandem with the overall objective and not only focus on meeting their or individual or maybe the individual person objective or individual department objective. They should work in tandem and should focus on achieving the organization goal rather as a whole. Okay, and then there is a remuneration. Remuneration is always in terms of salaries and the compensation. So what it talks about the remuneration, it talks that workers must be paid a fair wages for their services. So viewers, as I told you that these theories are from the ancient times. So the he also focused on that the laborers or the worker should get a fair wages or the remuneration. Okay, then there is a centralization. He was of the opinion that the teams refer to the degree to which subordinates are involved in decision making. So he was as he said that there should be one supervisor, there should be a unity of direction. So it is coming from a centralization perspective, right? He's saying that there should be a centralization point, and it all the commands and direction and the strategy is basically should come from there, so that we have a clarity everywhere. However, viewers, in the recent or the current organization structures which we see, which is a kind of complex matrix kind of environment, we normally see a decentralization. However, of course, every organization finally works uh, to achieve the common objective. There may be a different portfolios in the companies, not only one. So complete centralization may not be possible in the current scenario, but that was the principle given by the Fayol at that time in those 14 principles. Now let's talk about the scalar chain, line of authority. What it is saying in the scalar chain is saying that the line of authority from the top to the lowest rank is the scalar chain. That's why he's saying that authority should be lower at the lower level, then it should increasing at the level of management is increasing. That's where the scalar chain is showing. Then there is he talks about the principle, the order. What do you mean by the order? They said that the people and the materials should be in the right place at the right time. What he is saying, he is probably talking about the inventories. He is probably talking about the availability of their accessibility of their, that he's saying that the materials or the people should be at the right place and at the right time. There should not be wait time, there should not be wastage, and there should not be lead and lag time there. So it should be kind of just in time. Whenever is needed, it should be available there. So he wanted to say that order perspective, he's talking about those discipline or the hygiene factors. He's talking about that there should be a proper system where we are managing our inventories, where we are managing our workforce, and we have a proper processes to be followed, so that there is no lag there is no wastage there. So then their next principle is related to the equity. And in the equity talks about the uh, uh, managers should be kind and fair to their subordinates. So he's saying that equity is basically, he's saying that from an equity perspective, he's not talking about equality, but he's talking about equity, where he's saying that there should be a fair uh, management should be fair to all the subordinates. There should not be any kind of biases and all. So he was in the favor of equity. And then their next principle talks about the personal tenure. Personal tenure, what he's saying, that stability of tenure of personnel management should be provide orderly personal planning and ensure that replacements are available to fill vacancies. He was talking about that if people are tenure, if they are about to retire, and if we need to replace them, then the management should be ready and should be in a position to replace them. They should have a backup ready. Then it talks about the initiative employees who are allowed to originated originate and carry out plans will. Okay, and he's saying that management should enforce or maybe that influence the initiative by employees. And then the last it talk about the esprit of de corps. What does it mean? It says that promoting team spirit. Team spirit will build harmony and unity within the organization. He was also of the opinion that Fayol was saying that there should be a team spirit and we should focus on the team building so that we can get the maximum output and team may become efficient and there should be a complete harmony. So these were the 14 principles given by the Fayol in the administrative management theory. Viewers, let's go and cover the last theory, which is the bureaucracy management theory here. So in the bureaucracy, as we discussed earlier, it is basically was to guide the management decisions rather than charisma or the nepotism. So this theory basically talks about that the power of the management should be distributed. It should be delegated at the different levels, and it should not be coming as from a one person. So he talks about that distribution. So it is more related to kind of the matrix environment. It was he was supportive of the matrix environment. So Max Weber gave this theory, and he basically emphasizes on the formal authority systems. He says that authority should have a formal system. There should be a distribution of power and all. So unity and the authority of organizational hierarchies and central to bureaucracy theories. Okay, so let's just look at Weber's how he was saying. So Max Weber's bureaucracy, how it is saying that us, he is saying that a bureaucracy should have. So let's look at the different components of it. He's saying that there should be authority hierarchy. What do you mean by that? He's saying that the positions organization in a hierarchy with a clear chain of command. So he's completely talking about that if the organization have the structures and there are management at the different level of structure, so their power at that level should be clearly defined. So there should be a clear chain of command there. That's what he was uh, uh, you know confirming in the bureaucracy management theory. Then he's saying that the division of labor, he was saying that jobs should be broken into simple routine and well defined tasks so that we can assign the resources accordingly. He was of the opinion divide the labor accordingly. Then he was saying that the career orientation, he was saying that the manager are career professional and not owners of the units they manage. So he is saying that the managers should consider themselves as the career orientation, because they are there not only to utilize the resources but to polish them, but to nourish them, and to make future ready. Then he talks about the impersonality. He was showing that uniform application of rules and controls. He was very very adamant about the fact that there should not be any disparity when it comes to the execution of and based on the position or the power of the person in the company or in the bureaucracy. Whatever rules are there, whatever regulations are there, it should be applicable equally to all. And then the next, he was talking about the formal rules and regulation. He was talking that as we see in the bureaucracy, that the people at the different positions have a different power and the levels, and they remains and execute those powers within the rules and the regulations. So that is what he was talking about. Then he was talking about the formal selection. He was saying that people should be selected for a specific job on the technical qualification. He was saying that as in the bureaucracy, in the politics we see in India, there are formal selection procedures in various process. Even the election is a kind of process, right? Though there is no eligibility of the political leaders in India. That's the harsh reality. But I think apart from that, if we talk about the IAS, PCS, and all of that, those admin roles have the different powers and different working mechanism to them. But there is a selection procedure, of course, for those positions. So we see that kind of bureaucracy in our Indian politics, and that's kind of environment and the theory which you know Weber suggested is is known as bureaucracy management theory, which is very similar to the Indian politics system which we follow in India. So that is what he was of the opinion that we should follow. And of course there are advantages, right? There are advantages because skill based recruitment, if there is a selection process, of course those skills should be aligned, and then the people would be rated on that, right? Then there is a predictability. If the systems is defined and it is aligned accordingly, then of course there can be a predictability, there is will be a equality, there is a structure which is followed, there is a systematic record keeping. He is talking about that, he's saying that there will be more rationality, that the people who are eligible, or maybe if you take the example of the politics, the people who are a good leader may come up finally and win, though that may be a different scenario altogether if there are malfunctioning practices in the society, but it is a standard or the ultimate or the finest stage we are talking about. And then there is a specialization of expertise. We talked about that people should be aligned and awarded the role and the positions based on their skills, especially the technical skills he was talking about, because we what these theories are the ancient theories and more normally was focused on the production industry rather than the service industry. So that is how we conclude all these three theories. We already talked about this. Okay. And then there is a behavioral management theory. Viewers, if you remember in our last video or last session, we had covered the management in a broader view, different perspective of management, and then we had covered the one of the behavioral management theory, which was basically the Maslow hierarchy of need theory. So basically this theory, so there are one other theories which called the human relation theory here. So human relation theory considers the organization as a social entity, because we are talking about the behavior here, right? So this theory recognize that money alone is not enough to satisfy employees, because when we deal with the human resource, not only money can satisfy them, there are other component to it, and that's why the behavioral management theories are really really important. So moral is considered to be the integral part, integral to employee performance. They say that their moral should be very high while they are at work, or in the business, right? So if the moral of the people or the employees are not at high, then probably they may not do at their best. So the major weakness of this theory is that it makes several assumptions about behavior. Of course, if there, so it is basically based on certain assumptions, may not be the factuals that much. So basically talks about this. So there is a theory in this human relation theory. There is a theory of X and theory of Y, which is given by Douglas McGraw. Okay, so let's talk about this X and Y together. So let's just discuss this. What it says is, it talks about the, first of all, we were just think about it, that this behavior management theory, the human relation theory, which is named as theory X and theory Y. So there are two theories to this. One is theory X, one is theory Y. They are contradictory to each other, and that's why we talk about them together so that we understand. So let's talk about the very first point. What theory X says, it says that the people dislike work and avoid. So this theory is basically a kind of negative theory for to the humans, and the another theory is very very positive about the human behavior. So the very first theory, which is theory X, is talking that people dislike work, they find it boring, they will try to avoid if they can. So they saying that your employees do not want to work, employees feel the working boring, they don't want to do it, they're trying to avoid it, they try to delay it. So that's what this theory is assuming, while the theory Y says that the employees is basically talk about, they say that they need to work, they want to take an interest, and they enjoy it while working. So it is basically related to these 2 points. The theory X and Y is basically related to the human behavior, which is the attitude. Some people are saying that people attitude or the employee attitude is like that, they don't want to work. Another attitude is saying that they would want to work, they are motivated. Either here they are saying they are not motivated, they are getting bored, and the another way we are saying that they are showing their interest, they want to perform at their best. Okay, and the next point in the theory X is must be forced or concerned into compliance. So since this theory go in a little negative manner, so that's why they are saying that since people don't want to do work, the people don't are not interested, they get bored, so we need to force them to work. And they probably, since they are bored, they probably may not follow the standard and the compliance, so we need to force them to do the work and to be compliant. And another way, the theory wise say that they are self motivated, they direct themselves towards an accepted target. So whatever a target is given to them, they try to achieve it and they follow the standards very well. And this is basically related to the another human behavior, which is the direction. The X theory X says, since they are not want to do, they do not want to do work, they need direction. Another theory says they are very much directed, they want very much aware what target they need to achieve, they try to strive it, and they are very much direct, self directed basically. The Okay, let's come to the third part of it. It says that the theory X says that need to be directed, avoid responsibility. They say that it is talking about the third element, which is the responsibility. Theory X says the people are not responsible, they probably need a guidance, then and only they will perform. While the theory Y says thrive on responsibility. They said whatever responsibility they have, they are very much aware about it, and they wants to take ownership of the responsibility. So that is what the third aspect of it. Then the fourth element comes here regarding the motivation. So theory X says the people are motivated by fear, lack of money, lack of job security. So basically they're saying they are motivated negatively. Theory X is they're saying that the employee are motivated, but they are motivated negatively. They say that they have a fear of losing job, they have a fear of lacking security, they do not have enough security there, and they lack of money. So they are motivated, but they are negatively motivated. They are in fear, they live in fear, and that's why they are negatively motivated. The theory why while says that people are motivated by their desire or self development and to contribute to the world. So basically one theory is positive, another theory is negative. Theory X is a negative theory, theory Y is a positive theory about these elements of human behavior, which is attitude, direction, responsibility, motivation, and last one is the creativity. So what theory X says about the creativity is little creativity except when getting around rules. So it is saying that when people have to follow the rules, then and only they are getting creativity. As they are not, they are just following the normal routine and they are not putting any extra effort. That is what the theory X says, while the theory Y says that people are highly creative when given recognition and opportunity. So basically these two theories, which is given by Douglas McGrath, is basically say that if we are following theory X, then probably we need more direction, we need to give them more responsibility, probably we need to motivate them more, and we need to we basically do more effort. Basically in terms of if we considering three X factors, we need all of more efforts to be put in to build their attitude, to set their direction, to give them more responsibility, to make them responsible, to make them motivated, not negatively but the positively. And then we'll have to probably infuse some creativity. While if we follow the theory X, we are actually believing the employee, the workforce, and they say that they are motivated, they want to do work, they want to achieve something, they are positively motivated and they want to contribute, and that's why they are creative. So basically the end output of this theory, basically we say that if we consider that we are in the state of theory X, then probably we need management need more efforts, while if we are in the theory Y, probably we are in a good position and our management is considered good from that perspective, and we need probably less efforts. Okay viewers, let's move on. Then there is a behavioral management theory. We already talked about that. It talks about the motivation, about the people or the human. It talks about the social need, the conflict, the self actualization and all. And if you remember, we talked about this theory in detail, which is the Maslow Maslow hierarchy of need theory, we had talked about this theory in this in our previous session, so I would not talk about this time. If you haven't watched that video, viewers, I would again urge, because this was a very special episode. We talked about in details the management and the Maslow hierarchy of need theory, and it was very well appreciated. I would like to thank you to all my viewers about giving so much love and affection to that video. Yeah, you will get the link of the video in the description and in the comment box basically, or in the I button. So I would not talk about these details this in this session. So let's just cover the modern management theories, viewers, now. So the modern organization must navigate the constant change and exponential complexities. So as we know, viewers, that in current world, in the modern era, the companies are changing, and the environment is so dynamic that the company will have to change themselves so frequently, so fast, rapidly, and that's how the modern management theories becomes more and more relevant in today's uh, environment. So these theories have relative very much relative existence and the relevance in the modern era, and that's why we all in the management roles, the people in the leadership role should be aware about the modern management theories, because survival without knowing these modern management theory is impossible in any of the managerial or the leadership position. So let's talk about this. There are three major modern theories. One is the quantitative theory. What is this? This you know theory, viewers, was basically you know came in, or basically you can say that investigated in the World War II, where there was a lack of resources, of course, and we they needed to manage it in a better way, in a more scientific way, the people, material, and the systems, and that is where they define an approach, and this is called as a quantitative theory. Basically the problem solving process in the quantitative theory is depicted below. So how the quantitative theory works is basically we can understand this theory from this flow chart here. So let's talk about the a company or of a I'm sorry, let's talk about the goals of the firm. So there are goals of the firms. There are as we talked about, that there is a business plans. So from a business plan, the goals comes from there. Then it says that we should be identifying the problems that hinder the goal attainment. Since we got a business plan, and that business plan further split it into the different tasks to achieve, or to goals to achieve, and then we probably look at that, what are the problems, what are the bottlenecks, or what are the limitations, what are the restrictions we have, which is restricting us to attain those goals. So we know we got the problem, right? So we goal the goals, and then when we trying to strive those goals into actual result or the final outcomes, we are trying to identify what are the bottlenecks and limitations to attain those goals. Once we identify those bottlenecks or the problem area or the constraints, and then we basically work to solve those problems through the various techniques, and these techniques may be the mathematical models, and that's why that it is little complex. But MIS and the AI basically this at this current time is helping the organization to manage those hard and complex algorithms in terms of the mathematical models, right? And then we formalize a solution. How do we come out? By analyzing the data and information from various sources, the internal, external market research, and everything. Then we try to find the solution, we try to formalize the solution. It may be the computer aided calculations, and then various algorithm which is used, where there are various programs, AIs, and all the robotics we are using. All of that we can use to in the quantitative theories. And then we use the proposed systems, which is quantitatively qualified systems, which is tested system, and we try to attain the goals using those strategy and those models. So that is why the quantitative theory is really important in the modern era. Then the second theory in this is called a system theory. What the system theory talks about? It talks about that, it sees the management as an integral, interrelated, or or related or joint component of the organization, instead of viewing the organization as a series of silos. So it says, the system theory says that we work as a system, we don't work as a different component. We have a component, but we are ultimately a machine which is using all those components together and working and functionally, yeah, and functioning in such a way that it is generating the output or the final, or meeting our business plans, right, meeting our final outcome. So it sees everything as a system and not as silos, that each department is working for themselves, another department is working for themselves. It's not like that. It says that if we have 10 departments in an organization, all those 10 departments working in tandems together, to basically to achieve the common goal, common objective, and the business objective, and ultimately drive the profit. So basically it is taking about the system was saying that there is a input may be coming from a raw material, it may be coming from capital, it may be technology, it may be human resource, various other resources. These inputs gets transformed by the systems, or the various department which is involved there in an organization, and they transform all those inputs into the outputs, and then we do the basically the searching goods, they provide or build the solutions or the goods or the services, and then we, of course, there is a loop of feedback. Then whatever we achieved, we see that we get the feedback that if it is meeting our requirement, it is fulfilling the requirement, it is good to be consumed in the market, or do we need some improvement. And then again that feedback goes into the input, and then they transform it together, and this kind of system cycle goes on. So the system theory is nothing but talks about that we should consider the management as an interrelated component of the organization as a whole, and those all components working together in tandem to achieve the common objective. That's what the system theory talks about. So like, just take this example here. So there may be a there is a structure, there may be an organizational structure, there may be a review process, there are some practices and culture. We need to put all those components together, and then we form the system. So structure is basically, how do we plan, how do we develop, how do we use resources, principal participation event in organization infrastructure. So basically the structure of organization may be one component. Then there is a review process, that how do we monitor, how do we evaluate, how do we use the systems or an organization to evidence change affected by the participations. Then we review it, control it. Then there are practices, there are way of workings, right? There are methods which we use, there are skills and knowledge which we implement, there are technologies which we use. So all will come through the practices. Then there is a culture. What kind of culture do we have? What kind of environment we are providing to the employees? What kind of industry we are serving, right? So all of these components put together is building a system, and we use the entire we see the management as a whole, as system, and not as the silo components. That's what the modern management theory talks about. It is very important, because the organization, viewers, is getting very complex. In a matrix environment, they have multiple departments, multiple projects, multiple portfolios, and all of that. And if we are aware about the modern management theories, then we would be able to see the management as a system, as a whole, related to each other, and there is a lot of collaboration and cooperation is required, the communication is required. So these modern management theories help the management people in that. Then in the modern management theory, the third theory is the contingency theory. It talks about that the it is basically developed by the sociologist John Woodward, after she examined that why some companies performed better than others. She basically tried to examine a few companies, and then she noticed that some companies are doing performing better than the others. Then she tried to find it out why. This theory is basically reorganizes that effective manager must be adaptable to unique situations and circumstances. So basically her investigation was based on that some of the companies are not able to manage the situations which come suddenly, or which was not known in advance, and they are basically unable to manage those situations. And that's why the contingency theory came into existence. So he's saying that, here is that there is a company, there is a technology which company uses, there is a company, there is an environment of the company, then there is a structure of the company, then there is a management to this. So basically some companies have that, they have a routine technology which is available to external world and also to everybody, but is something which they use to manage their internal things, internal environment, which may not be available to the outside world. They keep it little secret to them, and that's why they are able to build their contingency in the system, and they are able to manage the situations which are not normal, abnormal maybe, or maybe unknown, and we can deal with those unknowns in the future. So that the contingency theory is very very important, that we should be well prepared to manage the futures risk and unknowns. So viewers, I hope post this lecture we have these two videos, right? And I am rolling out these videos in Hindi and English both. And if you are comfortable in both the languages, I request you to watch both the videos, because there may be some little extra covered in both the videos. But I think this will, I think you will have a hang of what management is, how should we see the management, what are the management related theory, what are the classical management theory, what are the behavioral management theory, what are the modern management theories. And if we talked about all these theories which belongs to different era, because classical management belongs to the old era, right, ancient era, where we were focused on production and eliminating the waste and everything, trying to infuse the efficiencies there. While when we talk about the human behavioral theories, then it is basically focused on human behavior. It talks about that how human performance impacts when the situations or the environment gets changed. Where then it talk about that, Maslow need hierarchy theory, which talks about that, humans tends to motivate or get satisfied when their needs meeting, and we need to continuously motivate probably them. And then the modern management theory, we talks about the quantitative techniques, which talks about the quantitative theory, which talks about the system approach, and which talks about the another aspect of it. So I think this covers a different viewpoint, different aspect of the management. And I hope that this series of these two videos have been helpful to understand the management and management theories, viewers. So I would like to thank you all viewers, followers and subscriber, and we request you all that please like, share and subscribe our channel. And I would like, if you have any further query on the management and management theories, please comment me. I would try to reply to all of your queries. So I would like to thank you once again, viewers. Thanks a lot for today. That's it from me. This is Chris. Stay happy, be blessed. Thank you. Bye bye.